Did you guys know my name's Jason? If I've never met you, I'm Jason. I'm the Next Gen pastor here. And do we have an update on Jake? Does everybody know everything? Yeah? Baby? Yeah, okay. So Jake and Amy have their second baby, and their second baby is named Miles. So I believe he told me it means warrior. Is that right, Presley? Yeah. So he came, on Thursday. So I'll be here teaching this bridge, the next bridge. Who knows about the next one? We're kind of playing that by ear. I know a lot of you, a few of you don't. I'd love to say hi to you after this if I've never met you. That probably means you're new because I'm old and I've been here a while. But it is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Second, which first? Christmas? Okay. You know what my second favorite holiday is? 4th of July. Anybody? Just for fireworks. Purely fireworks. Like, that is it. I do a fireworks show for my kids. They're 8, 6, and 3, so it's really easy. And we don't do anything above like this, but it's awesome. It's my favorite thing. You can come if you want. It'll be really boring for you, but fireworks are so expensive. Not what we're here to talk about. For others of you, Truett, are you still in here? Truett, earlier he said, for others of you, what did he say? Happy Singles Awareness Day for some of you, and that's okay too. So, yeah, it's great. So, I hear Jake launched a dating series last week. Is that right? Yeah? I didn't get to watch Jake's sermon. I was going to, Presley, but I didn't. But I do know what he talked about. He talked about singleness. If you weren't here, that's okay. You can probably get on YouTube and check that out. But Jake kind of launched us, and we're going to go 3 more weeks. And it just so happened that Valentine's Day fell on today. And it just so happened that Miles came into the world last week. And so I'm here on Valentine's Day. I don't think I've ever preached on Valentine's Day in 20 plus years. I don't think I've ever done it. I think it's funny. In my, I actually have an illustration that I use about Valentine's Day. And I might or might not use it tonight. I don't know. But I've never been able to use it on Valentine's Day. So today, what we're going to do is kind of transition the idea from singleness, if you were here last week, to dating. So you were in college, or you're college age, or you're in the workforce, or you're doing whatever, or you're whatever you're doing. But you're just at that age that everybody wants to talk about dating. So I love this topic, and I love it for one reason. I love it for the reason that it's one of the quickest ways to get to the heart of young men and women, or older men and women who are still dating or not yet married. There's nothing that gets at our heart quicker. So I just turned. I just telling them I'm this close to dead, but I just turned 41. Okay, that's so bad. I feel so bad. But I was with I ran into a friend of mine I went to high school with. He's 41 as well. That's why I tell you that. And his sister was there, who's older, and I won't tell you his name, but they were there, and I was talking to him, and his sister kind of pulled me aside because he's still single, and she goes, "Hey, you got any girls at that church that are 41 and want to marry my brother?" Right? And so, like, the thing on their mind is that she wants her brother to get married. And so it doesn't matter how old you are, it's a stage at which you are. I call it dating in windows. So and this is not a plug, I hate saying this a lot of times, but I ended up writing a book about dating because I was really not tired of, but I found myself having the same conversation over and over and over and over and over and over and over with other people. And it was my own experience as well. And I thought, man, there was nothing in my single life that got to my heart quicker than dating or lack thereof, right? Now there's nothing in my heart, nothing in the world that gets to my heart quicker than my marriage or my kids. Hey, Truett, will you shut that door? So I'm at a different stage than you, and maybe you have kids, maybe you don't. I don't know. But this is what we're going to do. So we're going to have fun tonight. Okay. Now, if you guys know me, I don't think I've given this talk in a lot of years, but I've definitely given it a bunch of times. If you know it, or if you've read my book, don't ruin this talk, okay? You know what I'm referring to, and it'll have to do with this whiteboard, okay? Don't ruin it, okay? I will forever despise you. We'll actually be in the book of Haggai. We won't be in there for a few minutes because we're going to have fun first, but we're going to jump into it. So ready, set, go. You ready? So here's this is going to be a lot of interaction tonight, by the way, because I get really bored in this talk if I just talk to you about dating. Now, here's what I do. Do I need to lower this, Bailey? What's wrong with me? I will not give you any advice tonight. I actually set out when I wrote my book to write a whole book about dating with no dating advice. Don't you want to read that book? So I didn't want to write any advice, and I'm not going to give you any advice tonight. I'm going to do something different, and I want to change your perspective on dating. That's my goal tonight. My prayer as I was sitting back there was that your perspective on dating would be changed in your seats by the Spirit. So that's my hope tonight, okay? And here's where we'll start. I don't think Jake touched on this last week, but when you think of marriage, let's start with the end. When you think of marriage, what do you think the goal of marriage is? And you can answer. Did you say kids? Okay. I see. Chad went very deep theologically on us real quick right there. I saw what you did. Okay, I get you that. I'll give you that. Sorry, Chad, I asked the wrong question. So I was like, I've never gotten that answer. Okay, forget the goal of marriage, because I'll tell you that in a second. He went deep on us. The goal of dating, let's start there. What do you think the goal of dating is? To get married. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Man, you see, I knew you would say that. I knew you would say that because you're a good Christian. And that's what good Christians do. We say the goal of dating is for marriage. So let me just take you down some logic that I have with that. If my goal in dating is to get married, then I've achieved it and I've accomplished it and I'm finished. And I've achieved the goal, I'm done. That's a little bit different than the goal the Lord has for me in life. So if I were to ask you the question, what does the Lord have for you as a goal in life? What would you say? What's your goal in life? If you're a follower of Jesus. If you're not, it's the same goal. You just might live a little different. Might live a little absent of it. If I were giving, so I'm trying to summarize a whole first talk here. If we were to go back to Genesis 2 and some of those things, you would notice that God has a theme throughout all of life. And your goal in life is this. Your goal in life is to live your life through faith in such a way that you bring honor and glory to the Lord Jesus Christ. That's your goal in life. You can do that as a school teacher. You can do that in school. You can do that anywhere you work. You can do that wherever you are. But that is your goal in life. John Piper said, God is most satisfied. We are most satisfied. Help me out here. God is most glorified in us when we are most satisfied in Him. Is that right? God is most glorified in us when we are most satisfied in Him. So it kind of works this way, that God's glory is my goal, but also living for God's glory is my satisfaction. That's my goal in life, and that's how God's made it. So here's my question. If the goal of dating is to get married, how is that different than the goal of life? Why should these be different? Because here's the deal. Let's say you rewind back to your high school glory days. Maybe one of you was a star athlete. Well, when you played the game of football, as a Christian, your goal was the same as your life's goal, to bring honor and glory to the Lord. So you had to play a different way. You treated people differently, whatever it means. Your work ethic was different. You did that for the glory of the Lord, right? So my question is, how is dating different? Because we tend to take dating and put it aside and say, well, yeah, my whole life is to glorify God, but dating is so that I can find a husband or a wife. And all of a sudden, we put it on a shelf and say, dating is different. And I'm going to date so that I can find a spouse. I don't think those two things jive. I don't think they're the same. So I'm going to define that as the goal of dating is not marriage, but I'll tell you what marriage, how it plays in. Marriage is simply the end result in dating. If you date someone long enough, you will be married. Even if you have no ceremony, you will still be married. So I think that dating is not for marriage. Dating is to bring honor and glory to Jesus Christ in and through your relationship. And I'll talk about that in just a second. Because when you think about bringing honor to Him in a dating relationship, what if you could radically transform the perspective you had on dating from I want to date so that I can have a spouse to I want to date so I can bring glory to God? Because think about this. If your goal in dating someone was to get married, and you're sitting here tonight and you're not married, and you've dated before, then you're a failure. Your dating relationship was a failure. Could it be that you were in a dating relationship and you broke up with that dork, and the way you did it and how you did it and why you did it was actually honoring to the Lord? That's possible, right? So, is that failure? No, I think it's success. So we can't equate the two. So I want to separate them, and I want to say that marriage is the end result of dating. That's what's going to happen. So I just want to clear the air. So here's what I'm doing in dating, that I'm glorifying the Lord in dating. That's when nobody's watching, right? This is when you get all your physical boundaries, all those things, and we won't talk about because I'm not giving you rules. But that's the end, when nobody's watching, and through your relationship. So when everybody's watching, you guys, this usually takes place like in high school, middle school. Remember back when you were younger, and you had like a friend, and all of a sudden, like this happens to dudes, maybe more than girls, I don't know. But like all of a sudden, your friend starts dating this girl, and all of a sudden, he just vanishes. You just don't see him anymore, and he's always with that girl. You got a personal problem with that one, don't you? He's always with this girl, and then guess what? She dumps him, and then here he comes again, right? And then he's your buddy again, right? Well, that's not glorifying God through that relationship. But think about that guy. What was his goal? What was his motive? What was his perspective to dating? And tonight, what's yours? Like, what's your perspective in dating? What's your goal? In other words, here's the question I want you to ask tonight. I believe you can radically transform the way you view dating through asking yourself 3 simple questions. I'm going to ask you one tonight. And it's simply this: why do you want to date? That's it. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about like why you wanted to date someone? You usually don't. It's funny. In every other area of life, you question it. You question it. Look back to when you first learned to diagram sentences, right? And you go, why do I do this? Why are we doing this, Mrs. Smith? We're never going to use this trash. And you were right. You're learning some stuff in algebra that's this long. You're like, look, I just want to be a garbage man. Why am I learning this? Right? You question that. And then you start, if you're a strategy type person, whether it's you're a gamer or whether you're an athlete, strategy and those things, like you're wondering why, how does it all work? And there's a motive on what you're doing. So we ask why and everything else in life, but we don't when we want to date. Here's how dating actually works, more or less. Dating works this way: guy sees girl sees guy likes girl likes guy. They ask each other out. Mostly it's a guy, but sometimes it's not, right? And so it's just like, here's how it works. I mean, we can make fun of it. I love making fun of dating, like in middle school. Isn't it funny? Can't we make fun? I've given this whole series in middle school before, and I can't make fun of them. It's really sad because I want to. Because it's like remember middle school? Did you date in middle school? I've never done. How many of y'all dated in middle school? You had a girlfriend or a boy? I did. I had one I don't know, a couple. Not at the same time, but I'm just saying. Anybody? Y'all are liars and thieves and sinners. All of you. All of you. Yeah, I know some of you dated in high school. Middle school. I saw you do it. Yeah, don't lie. Y'all are liars. Come on. All right, guys. Do we need to get up and do jumping jacks? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to make you do that. So here's your, Presley, I'll give you $500 if you'll find me ibuprofen and water. I'm dying. Sorry, I have chronic headache disorder. I'm about to pass out on the thing. So I'm not going to pay her at all. I'm not going to give her any money. So is that bothering y'all when this thing goes? It's bothering me. What did I say? Oh, dating in middle school? Sorry. I really do think it's funny. It's like you're like, hey, this girl that's usually how it's right. Like, hey, dude, this girl likes you. Does she really? I'm going to ask her out. What's her name? Right? And then you start dating her and you're like, hey, Mom, can you pick up Sally with me? What a dork. I mean, that's what we did. Or some people did. It wasn't me. But man, and then we do these weird things where we're dating. So we don't ask why, we just do it. So what I want to do today is I want to play a game with you, and it's going to be fun. And I want you to answer a question for me. And the simple question is why? Thank you, Presley. I'm not going to pay you anything. Sorry. So here's what we'll do. Now we'll have fun. And I'll be honest with you. After we're done, I was telling Catherine back there, I was rereading Haggai 1. I said, I hate this text. Because it is so me. I'm 41. And I literally have written in my Bible, I know this is me, 11:16:16. I don't know why I wrote that. But I'm still here and it's still me. So let's have fun, because in a minute, we're all going to feel bad. So here's my question. So we've got to discover if the goal of dating is to bring honor to Jesus in my relationship and through my relationship. That's the goal of dating. The end result is marriage. We got that out of the way. Now I want to know, we got to ask why. So here's the question you don't ask is, why do I want to date? I'm just saying, like, what's the motivation? What is it that causes me to ask her out, to say yes, to like, okay, girls, I get it, to like put yourself like awkwardly in his way all the time. Dudes, I get it too, like you know, I make fun of you a lot more. But here's the deal. Why is it? So here's my question. Why do some people want to date? Now, this probably isn't you, because you are an outstanding, godly man or woman who only dates for the most pious of reasons. So those other sinners, not us, why do people want to date? What's the motivation? What's the question they've never answered, you've never asked, and you've never answered, but none of y'all dated in middle school either, right? So listen, what is it? Why do people want to date? Come on, I need some help, because I'm going to write them up here, and we're going to have fun. Watch this. This is kind of like a magic trick. Watch. Poof. It's fun. I like that, yeah. Because it's fun. Yeah, because like, hey, on Valentine's Day, well, this might be a bad joke, but on Valentine's Day, if you don't have a date, you're going to be at a college ministry thing and set out with your girl, right? I get it. It's fun. Was that funny? To me, it was funny. I don't know why. It was poof. It was right there. I have a really bad headache. If it's a bad joke, if I offended you, it's not me. I'm not thinking straight. Oh, I can't see. Okay. So, was that funny, Miranda? Was that funny? That was funny. Thanks. I didn't Miranda. Yeah. So somebody else, I'll come to you in a minute. Somebody else said something. Why do you want to date? What'd you say? To get married? Yes. Lots of people do that. You know what? I'm going to put that on here. Even though I want a disclaimer here, that's the end result of dating. But I'm going to put that on here. I usually don't. But I'm going to do it for you. By the way, if you can only spell one word one way, you lacking creativity, don't judge me. Okay? How is that funnier than what I said about the guy? Okay, yeah, for marriage. Okay, what else? Come on, yeah. Ah! This is so funny. So, can I tell you a story? What's your name? Taylor. Oh, you're my favorite. So, Taylor, I don't know how, this is a long time ago, I was teaching at Liberty Christian School in a bunch of girls' Bible class, and I never taught all girls. I was freaking out because it was all high school girls. And they were like laughing, and they were like, dogging on guys. Oh, we do it for the ride. And they were all, this is the first time I ever heard it, like, we just do it for the food. We get free food. Watch out for Taylor, everybody. Free food. I'll take that. What else? Why do people date? What else? Love it. Yeah, they're lonely. So she said they're lonely. So like this is the, man, like, it's kind of like I'm bored, or when I say want to have fun, I also do this sometimes, right? I'm just bored. I'm going to add that up there because somebody might say that in a minute, but I'm going to say it in the same category. Lonely. Yeah, I'm just lonely, man. I just need like somebody to text me. Anybody. I'll buy Taylor some food. Whatever it takes. Sorry, Taylor, I'm just going to pick on you. It's just going to happen. We're friends, so I'm cool. It's okay. Ask Miranda. I'm okay. I'm safe. What else? Why do people want to date? Like other people. Yeah. No. You were polite. Somebody was not. I'm just kidding. I don't care if you yell it out or not. What do you got? To be loved. I love that. Thank you. Who said status? I heard it over here somewhere. Yeah, status. So, status. To be loved. So let me start here. So the status thing, it's very, very true. I think as we get older, the status thing becomes less, but then again, it doesn't. It just takes on a different form. In high school, it's like the status of who you're dating, right? It's like the status of I'm dating the cheerleader, I'm dating the football guy, whatever. Ooh, look at him throw the ball. What did you say? Status. But then when you get older, it might not be that. It might just be the status of dating. Like I have a girlfriend, and I'm cool. I have a boyfriend. He loves me, I think. What did you say, to be loved? Is that what we said, to be loved? Somebody over here? To be loved, man. Isn't that deep? That's a really deep answer. And I'm actually going to comment on that one later. I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd say all these. I'll prove it in a minute. But yeah, what you got? Ooh, attention. I like that. That's really close to I feel loved. I just want the attention, right? Attention. Yeah, I just want the attention. Why else do people date? Is that a cuss word? What? Because I don't speak French. What? Oh, you can't say that in church. Kara, dang. I'm sorry. If you're new, I'm sorry. She's actually married. I'll leave it there. So in church, we don't say sex. And nobody knows what promiscuity means. So we say, bow, chicka wow wow. That's church. That's how you say it in church. They taught us that in seminary. So, that's true. Like people just want a date to have sex. Have you noticed that? And hey, listen. I'm poking fun and kind of trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just weird. But if this is you, don't bail on me yet. I know there's people in the room who have had sex, and we're in church. I get it. It's okay. You're all right. And I know some of y'all have dated just to do that. Did you just tweet me, or did you just snap talk me or something? Okay. All right. So, yeah, what else? Why do people want to date? These are really good motivations because some people just want physical, I'm not going to call it intimacy, pleasure, sex, whatever, leading up to it. Yeah, that's a motivation. That is a motivation. What else? Anything else? We can stop. We can keep going. We can laugh. We can make fun of people. We can do whatever we want. Anything else? Oh, boom. Security. I almost want. What do you mean by that? Can I ask you? Are you answering for Taylor? Is that? Sorry. Okay. That was good. That was good from a dude. Sorry, I really want to throw jokes, but they might hurt someone. No, because I don't know. You might, I don't want to. If it was somebody that, I can't. Yeah. Security. Not only money, but I think you can also say security like, I have the security of a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like, I feel more secure. I feel more, like you said over here, loved. I feel better in a lot of security, financial security, all those things. It's good. That's good. Anything else? Let's do one more, just for fun. Practice? All right. Practice. What do you practice? Shh. I didn't mean that. There's no correlation to me putting this by What Kara said. Practice. Shoot. Oh, Lord, forgive me. I have sinned. Practice at dating. I'm going to get good at this. I think that should be your line next time you ask your girl, hey, girl, listen, I really need some practice at dating. I'm not very good. Would you go out with me? Right? Yeah, that's really, really good. That's good. Anything else? Y'all are funny. I go on all day laughing. I like to laugh. I don't get to laugh much anymore. 41. What do you mean? Oh, yeah. Love that. Other people are dating. Other people have a girlfriend, boyfriend. I need one too. Hey, can I practice? Right. Yeah, there you go. You called it inclusion. That's a good word. I'm going to say inclusion. I just thought of that. Yeah, inclusion. So that means other people have a date. Security too, like if you're in a, if you're in a fraternity, sorority, or if you look back in high school, like when you had all those weird dances and all that stuff, like there's a security, and if I have a girlfriend or boyfriend, I don't have to wonder if I'm going, right? I have a family member, and their little girl, she's in 3rd grade, and she was really, really sad. And she was really, really sad because everybody in the 3rd grade are picking Valentines, and she didn't get picked. And I'm like, in 3rd grade, just eat the chocolate. You don't need that. But man, she just didn't feel included, right? So yeah, it starts early. So that's good enough. If you have any others, we can do it. But here's my magic trick, okay? I promise nobody's back there typing, right? Right? But I knew you'd say that. That's when you go boom and show them the trick. Boom. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, there's some that we didn't get to. So this is something that I do a lot, and I love doing this. So look, to feel loved, y'all said that. That's a lot of reason people want to, an emotional crutch. This is one of my favorites. This is I always use this guy. This is God just needs somebody to just cry with. Get a dog, don't get a boyfriend, right? I had a guy discipled, he was in high school, and I tell this story on him every time. He's in my book. I got permission, don't worry, I won't tell you his name. He was my emotional crutch guy. He came to me one time when we were meeting up. He goes, dude, bro, I'm so happy I got a girlfriend. I was like, did you? What's her name? He's like, I just know her first name. I was like, that's great. Well, how'd y'all get together? He's like, well, dude, she had a really bad day, and she came to my car, and afterwards, she was just crying for 2 hours. I was just consoling her. And so at the end, I was like, hey, will you go out with me? And I said, first of all, you're an idiot. And second of all, you're going to be broke up in 6 months. They lasted 7. So that's an emotional crutch. But sometimes we do it. We just want somebody that can carry our emotions. What'd you say? Promiscuity? Yeah, French word? Yeah. Sex. Bored. Have fun. Oh, hotness. That's usually, they just really, really hot. That's usually girls can kind of say that sometimes, and it makes me laugh, but none of y'all said it. But I don't have up here get free food, Taylor, so I need to add that. This is an old power. I need to update it. Lonely. I'm feeling lonely. Bored. We got that. My friends all have one. That's inclusion. I need to update and say inclusion. That sounds a lot smarter. What's down there? The person makes you feel good. Attention. We can say that's attention. That's really close. Security. That's the bottom one if you can't read it. The security of having someone else. I need to add practice. That was really good. But, we always have these motivations. And here's what's funny. I think I started with this talk, this idea, whatever, a long time ago. And it's probably been 10 years. I don't really know. But here's what's true every single time. Everybody always gives the same answers. And no one gives an answer that accomplishes the goal. Because your goal is not marriage. Your goal is to honor Jesus. So we just rattled off, we had fun with it. We rattled off motivations that I had, that you had. So here's the problem. If the goal of your life is to honor Jesus in and through what you do, and if that includes dating, then tell me which motivation accomplishes your goal. Remember, I gave this is not a motivation, that's the end result. So we got a problem. we got a problem because we can't even get past square one. We can't even get through the first question without failing the test. Like, God, I want to date to glorify you. Remember when Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, he said to the Pharisees, he go, hey, come here. You guys think it's bad to murder, right? And they go, yeah. And he goes, do you know that if you actually hate someone, you're just as guilty and you're a murderer? And they go, no way. And Jesus goes on and says a few more like that. And he's trying to say, look, the Lord is more concerned about your heart and your motivation than your actions because they just follow the heart. So if my heart wants to date because I'm lonely, why don't you just come out and say it when you ask her out? Girls, I don't know how that works. I've never been a girl. So when that happens, hey, I'm just really lonely. Can I practice? That'll be good. That's what you really mean. That's what you're really saying. So can I show you a group of people in the Old Testament that I believe had the same problem? The problem is that if we can't accomplish this goal through everything in our life, then why on earth are you dating? If you're dating someone right now for one of these reasons, and you're a Christian, I would have a lot of trouble reconciling those two things. Notice I haven't talked about what you're doing. I haven't talked about anything biblical or unbiblical in the relationship, having sex and all that. I mean, that was as a motivation, but I'm not talking about your actions. I'm just saying in your heart. If you're not a believer in the room, this talk is a little bit different to you because you might not think your life exists to glorify God because you might not believe He exists or whatever. And I just want you to know, if that's you, you're okay. I was there too. And I want you to know that even though you might not believe it, the laws of nature still remain the same. Gravity still makes you fall. God's honor and glory is still the epitome of life. So the principles remain the same, even though you might not believe that. And so I want you to look at the book of Haggai. And what time am I supposed to stop? 8:30? 8:25? 9:30? 10? That's so funny. I think it's so funny. Haggai 1. So the book of Haggai, he's a prophet. He's what we would call a minor prophet. Simply means he writes a small book. He's a prophet that's writing during a return. So during the time so God's chosen people were the Jewish people. Those people were, even if you look at Israel today, Jacob, the descendants of Jacob, Israel, that's those people. And so those people, when they would disobey God, like the Assyrians, they would come in and they would just wipe them out. You have a lot of prophets that would write, repent, repent, and they won't, and they're getting wiped out. And so they would be exiled. They would take them captive, and they would have them return. And in this case, when they did, they destroyed a few things. See the book of Ezra and Nehemiah. They destroyed the wall around Jerusalem, the holy city. They destroyed the temple of God, even worse. So the wall around the city would represent protection of the people. The temple of God would represent the relationship they had with Yahweh God. Yahweh's God's covenant name. And so this was the personal, infinite God in a relationship with the people represented through the temple and temple worship at the time. So that this is where they would offer sacrifices. This is the Holy of Holies. This is where they would have relationship, commune with God. And so those things are destroyed during the invasions. And this is what we would call a return. This is, if you're wanting to know, this is Ezra chapter 5 would be the historical place Haggai writes. And Haggai writes to these people, and he picks it up in verse 2. And here's your first thing that I want to show you. And remember, my goal is to change your perspective. That's it. Change your perspective on why you date. Because our focus, what we focus on, will disclose our motives. Our focus will disclose our motives. Watch this, verse 2. So this is Haggai, the prophet, writing to the people who have returned to their land and the temple lies in ruin. He says to them, "Thus says the Lord of hosts, These people say that the time has not yet come to rebuild the house of the Lord. So this is God speaking through Haggai to the people of Israel that have come back. And he says, the temple is in ruin. And they say that the time has not yet come to rebuild the house. In other words, they say, yeah, God's cool and we're cool with like a relationship with him, but we'll rebuild the temple later. So if you're just stopping in verse 2, you got to say, why? Why did they say it's not time? Were they tired? Were they beat up? Did they not have the supplies? What was it? Why couldn't they build the temple? And so he goes into verse 3, because you've got to find their focus. Then the word of the Lord came by the hand of Haggai the prophet. Is it time for you yourselves to dwell in your paneled houses, while this house lies in ruin? Oh, this is so good. He goes, oh, it's not time to rebuild the house of the Lord. So it is time to panel your own homes? If you were paneling your homes back in this day, you're building luxurious homes, is what you're doing. You're building marble countertops and, I don't even know, all the HGTV stuff, right? And so Haggai goes, oh, so it's not time to rebuild your relationship with God, the temple of God, because you think that if you focus on yourself and the pleasure of living in a paneled home, in a luxurious home, things will be better. I mean, think about it. You just got your butt kicked. You just got exiled. You just came back home, and you just see your house. Maybe your house is destroyed. And you go, man, I'm home. I'm just going to focus here. And if I can just get my house awesome, man, I've got to get life good again. And God goes, so you're not rebuilding mine because you think you'll be satisfied in yours. Because if I'm dating for me, it proves myself and my comfort to be the focus of my life. Think about it. Any of these up here are because they are my comfort, because I'm my focus. God is absent from the equation. But it's not just God that's absent from the equation. It's any hint of motivation that can get you to your goal. If my goal was to come back and live life in my homeland with joy and peace, if that's my goal, and I go to rebuild my own home and say, I just want me to be good, then I will fail at achieving the goal that is to have communion with God, because the temple lies in ruin. Because our focus, what we focus on, will disclose what motivates us. If your focus is to get a girl at all costs, here's a tip-off, guys. Here's a tip-off, girls. If you think you're ready to date and you're dating or you broke up and you do this and you have 5 options, he'll do. Yeah, he's pretty good too. This isn't a sushi buffet. So if you've got 5 options, my guess is your motivation is simply, which one of you will bring me the most joy? And when you don't anymore, we're done. That's what you might as well tell them. Or it's the same thing, it's easier to say about with sex. Which one of you will bring me the best sex, and then when it's boring, I'll dump you? And I'll say I don't love you anymore. Because you went after your own pleasure, your own way, for yourself, and it ended in ruin. And then you move on to the next guy, and you move on to the next girl, and you wonder why this always happens to me. Point in case. I know, if you watch it, that's cool. My wife watches this. Presley, don't judge her. The Bachelor. I mean, I make fun of my wife. Why are you watching this? These idiots. Why are they sad? You're one of 50 girls that came on the show to all date and mess around with one dude. How you think you're not going to get mad and heartbroken? Of course you're going to cry because you're an idiot. Because you go on here thinking this is, like, what the heck? And then the homeboy, that's all he's doing. He's going, which one of you will satisfy me the most in every way, shape, or form? She's rich. Stupid. That's how we think. You've got to change your perspective or your dating life will be a wreck. Promise. Just like these guys. So he says this in verse, what am I at, 3? No, 4. It's time for yourselves to dwell in paneled houses while this house, that's the temple, lies in ruin. He's pointing out their focus. Their focus is themselves. Their focus is their own comfort. Their focus is their own pleasure. And God says that should not be your focus because you can't find it out there. You can only find it in one place. So you think you can't rebuild the temple because you're going to go do that first? God, I hate this text. I'm sitting here going, oh, I need to go home and tell my wife we kind of do this. Guys, this will play out the rest of your life. Can I be real honest with you real quick? And man, so in raising kids, it's super easy. It's a joke. Raising kids is so hard. I was a youth pastor for a really long time. I thought it'd be a breeze. I'm terrible at raising kids. I'm way better at a youth pastor than I am at raising my kids. I don't know. They're crazy. They don't stop. They don't go home because they live with me. And sometimes I just think, all right, if I can just fix his attitude, his this, I got 3 boys, his this, and if I can fix all that, then my house will be peaceful. And then I'll go, yeah, Lord, I'll get to rebuilding your temple later. I got to panel my house. Right? Isn't that the natural reaction we do? We do the same thing in dating. You got to change your perspective or it'll be a wreck. Verse 5. In the second idea, our motives then bring about our action. So if our focus discloses our motives then result in action. So if the focus is you, and then the motivation is this, then that will bring about your action. Think about this, think about this, think about this. So if all of a sudden I just want, let's just choose one, I'm lonely. And I want a boyfriend or girlfriend because I'm lonely. I don't say that to myself because I don't ask myself that question. But what you'll do is you will manipulate any guy or girl that will achieve this result. But guess what? You won't go for a guy or girl that won't make you feel unlonely. So what that means is you won't go for a guy or girl who you can't always be attached at their hip. Because you want to be attached at their hip, not because you love them, because you're lonely, and when you're with them, you don't feel so lonely. And when they no longer will attach at your hip, and they'll say, hey, we need hang on, we need a little space. You'll break up with them because they no longer achieve what you need, which is my loneliness. Verse 5. Here's their action. Now therefore, says the Lord. This is the greatest phrase. Consider your ways. Consider what you're doing. Consider your motivation. Consider this. Consider the result of the motivations that are causing action, in this case, to panel your home, looking for that satisfaction in your own things. He says this, and man, this is so good. He says this, you have sown much. You've put a lot of seeds in the ground. You've worked real hard doing that, but you've harvested little. You haven't gotten much grain from those seeds. You worked real hard, but in the wrong direction. He says, you eat, but you never have enough. You find one guy, one girl after the other to have a sexual relationship with, but you're never satisfied. You eat and eat and eat. Or you really eat with free food. But you never have enough. You're never satisfied, right? He says you drink and your thirst is never quenched. You're never filled. You clothe yourselves, but no one is warm. You find the guy that makes you not feel so lonely and makes you feel loved. You find the girl that gives you attention, but then you're still cold. It still didn't work. You're working real hard. You're staying up real late, worried about the reason that he or she didn't text you back. Are they mad? There's a lot of effort going on, and you're still cold. You earn wages, and then you put them in bags with holes. You see, these people work hard in all these scenarios, but they gain nothing. It's hard to date someone for these reasons, and at the end, you gain nothing. At the end, you gain nothing, and you're hurt. You're hurt because you looked for a human to satisfy a longing inside of you, whatever it was, and it didn't work. You put money in bags, and they had holes in them. So Dating, for me, it takes a lot of work, and it produces nothing. It produces absolutely nothing. In verse 7, if our focus discloses our motives, and if our motives bring about our actions, then our actions, listen to me, will expose our glorification. In other words, what we act upon will expose who or what we're trying to bring glory to. It happens every time. It happens to you on the baseball field, the football field, the basketball field, the intramural courts. It happened to you when you're in high school. It happens to you when how smart you are, how not smart you are when you answer that question in class. This is what happens to us. It exposes our glorification. But here's the thing. When you work in the wrong direction, watch this, God withholds the peace. This is, again, this is one of my favorite passages in the whole Bible. Thus says the Lord, verse 7, consider your ways. So he had just told them, you worked really hard for the wages, and you put them in bags of holes. How much money you got? None. Yeah, didn't work, did it? You tried to date all those people for all those reasons. Didn't work, did it? No. You looking for another one? Yeah, they're not going to work either. Because they're not the problem. Consider your ways. But here's the action. This is the first action that God requires. Go up to the hills and bring wood and build the house. So good. Put down the panels and go up to the hills and gather the wood and build my house. I almost wish God would have just expanded this and wouldn't make us search all the way through Scripture to find out his motivation. Guys, he goes, put your panels down and go to the hills and get the wood and rebuild my house because I love you. Because I've missed you. Because I'm satisfying. He says, put down your panels. Come to me. Put down your bogus motivations. Come to me. Go to the hills and build the house. Seek first God. Go to the house and build a house. Go to the woods and build a house that I may take pleasure in it. So God says that I'll have the glory. Because our actions expose our glorification. Who's trying to be glorified here? We are. God says, go build something for me that I would be glorified, that I would take pleasure in it. This is Jesus to the 7 churches in Revelation. God, it's been a while. Laodicea, that he writes, and he says, he tells them as they're just kind of wayward, he says, remember, and he doesn't say this quote, but it's remember your first love. Jesus said, remember me, because you've gotten lost in religion. You've gotten lost in effort. Remember your first love. God says, remember your first love. Go to the hills and bring the wood and build the temple and put down the panels. Remember your love of God. As if he would say, I love you too much to let the money stay in the bags. Because if the money stayed in the bags, you'd think you figured it out. But I'll let it fall out because I love you. And maybe you've experienced a really bad breakup. We're talking about dating. This could apply to a lot of things. And maybe God allowed, or maybe God required that to happen to tell you tonight, I love you and I've missed you. Go to the hills and bring some wood that I might take pleasure in it and bring glory to me. Because you didn't find it there. He loves you too much to let fake money sit in bags, but the holes would fall out. He loves you too much to try and find warmth anywhere else but him. And so he says that I may take pleasure in it and that I may be glorified. In other words, that you might live your life's purpose. Go to the hills and put down the panels that you could come and live your life's purpose. Because it's not found in that. It's not found in him. It's not found in her. It's not found in house. It's not found in money. It's not found in status. It's found in me, he would say, in my glory. When you work in the wrong direction, God will let you fail. God will enforce your failure because he wants all of you. He wants your heart. He doesn't want your pity. And he doesn't want lip service. He wants all of you. He said, you looked for much, and behold, it came to little. And when you brought it home, I blew it away. That's so good. You looked for a lot, and you worked hard, and when you got it back, I destroyed it on purpose because I wanted you to know I loved you more. And I wanted you to know you'll never be satisfied in that, whatever that is. In this case, a guy or a girl. I blew it away. Why did I do it? Declares the Lord of hosts. Because of the house that lies in ruin. Guys, don't miss this. Please look right at me. Look right at me. Please listen. Please listen. He said, I blew it away and I destroyed all your prosperity of your paneled homes and all that. Because I wanted you to come back to me. Because I wanted you to go build the house. I wanted you with me. That he would love us to an extent that when we were distant from God through sin, he slaughters his own son because he goes, I want you to build the house. And I want you to focus on me. And I want you to be with me. And I'll slaughter my son to do it. And I'll show you my power by raising him from the dead. And I'll send the God-man because I want you to put down the panels and come home. No wonder so many relationships we've had have failed miserably because God goes, I want you on me. Eyes on me. You towards me. No one else can satisfy you. I blew it away because the house that lies in ruins while you busy yourselves with your own homes. So if you look at all of these that we talked as motivation, I told you earlier there are 3 questions that I think can revolutionize how you date. The first one's about perspective. Why do you date? I hope that your perspective's different tonight. Because if you have a goal of living your life for God's glory and God's honor, if you look at all of these, they have one thing in common. It's always this way. I've never given this talk, and it's not. I want to have fun. I want to be married. I want free food. I want to have sex. I just want to practice so I'm better. I just need security. I just want the attention. I just want to feel loved again. I just want that status. I don't want to be lonely, and I just want to be included. So all of the motivation in here is not just not about God's glory. It's about yours and mine. This is all about our glory. And this is the reasons we date. So if there are 3 questions, and this is the first, and our goal is to honor God, what's the right one? Well, we spent, 10 minutes having fun, and we didn't find it. And it's not their personality either. That's just silly. It's a cop-out. Man. So the question is, what motivates me? And what's a good motivation for me to move on and to actually date? Because, guys, I'll tell you, if you can't answer this question, you're going to put money in bags with holes. And I'm going to tell you the answer next week. Because there's something more important I want you to see. I don't care if you come back or not. You can YouTube it. But think about this. If there's some of these, think about that. We'll get a little bit downwind of ourselves and then we'll be done. If I just want to feel loved, or I'm lonely, or I want the attention, or these are heart things, right? If that's your motivation, and think to yourself for a minute, like, I'm dating this guy, this girl, like, don't dump them right now. Just give them a day or so. But why did I start to date them? Or, man, I like this guy, this girl. Why do I? Am I just lonely? Because, man, if these are your motivations, let's go a little deeper in your own heart. Maybe there's just a lost love in you. And maybe that love is shaped as, the void is shaped as a cross and not a person. And maybe you're going to look for a lost love and you'll never find it. Girls, your daddy Maybe a great man, maybe a terrible man. I don't know him. But at some level, maybe you got a lost love from daddy. You just want to know what that feels like. Maybe you guys, God forbid anybody in this room, but stats would tell us it's true. Maybe there's abuse in your past. And maybe you're now confused because you're just looking to feel loved because that wasn't it. And you want to know what it is. Maybe your parents left and your mom skipped out. And you didn't get the tender love from mom. You just got the tough love from dad. And you just want to know what it's like to just like gently and tenderly be loved. So if you're looking for that in a person, I promise that'll fail. That's where the holes are in the bag. And so, also this, status or inclusion. I'll try, I usually do a different color, but status, inclusion, maybe fun and bored, maybe even marriage. If you think of some of these have to do with identity, who I am. So I need someone else to help define me, is what you're saying. Because if I need to be included, then because everybody else, I need somebody else to define me just like y'all have. Status, self-explanatory. Marriage, I'm defined by my spouse. No, you're not. Fun, bored. That one might not fit in that category. It would probably fit in this next one that I'll tell you. Fun, bored, free food. Taylor's going to have its category of its own. I love it. Even having sex, practice security. I think some of these other ones, they have this category of like, I'm really not living for a bigger purpose, and dating's as big as I can think of. Like marriage is as big as I can think to live for, so I want to practice at it so I can get really good at it. And, these are just, sex and free food. Maybe we can put those together. But you see, there's some motivations that you got to dig. Because let's say you're limited in what you can create. So if I just want to have fun, I want to date and have fun, well, you're limited on how big you can live by what kind of fun you can create. And once you've created all the fun and get bored, then your purpose is gone. It's time to change the perspective you have on dating. Because you will have reckless dating if you don't. I'll tell you this story to just stick the word perspective in your brain as we leave. It's one of my most embarrassing moments, but it was a long time ago. Back in the day in Denton, you could take Mayhill, and Mayhill Road would be a shortcut to avoid traffic from Loop 288. And I was taking Mayhill Road, and other people had caught on to my trick. And the line was backed up, and I was late. And I was in Mayhill right by the hospital, right? You know what I'm talking about? Mayhill going on the highway. It's right by the hospital. And man, I was mad. I was light after light after light after light. And I was waiting, and I was waiting, and I was getting frustrated. Y'all ever do this? And all of a sudden, I look at the hospital, and I'm looking at the hospital. I'm like, oh, there's a care flight helicopter coming in. I'm just kind of waiting at the light, watching this thing. And I'm sitting there in my rearview mirror. I see this car hit the ditch, and he's just bumping along. And I'm like, oh, no. You are not about to pass all of it. I sat through 3 lights. You're going to sit through 3 lights. Boom, 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 here he comes. So he's getting closer and closer. I'm like, man, what do? I'm going to set this dude right. I'm going to do the right thing. All these other people are waiting too. You can't cut. So I did what any Christian can do, and I got the car, and I went, whoop, and I put my car in the ditch, and I cut him off. I had a big old truck. I cut him off. And he pulled up beside me, and I inched over, like, no, fool, you ain't getting by me. I'm a pastor. I'm doing what's right. I'm setting this thing right. And he rolled down his window, and I rolled down mine. I was like, you want to go? I didn't say that. I rolled down my window. I said, can I help you? He said, sir, can I get past you? Because that's my son in that helicopter. And I went, oh my gosh. And I slowly put it in reverse, and I pulled back into the lane, and he drove to meet his son being care flighted to the ER. My perspective instantly changed. The reason it changed is because I thought all of this was for one reason. But in reality, the gravity of the motivation of this guy was greater than I ever knew. Guys, if you don't change your perspective, the gravity of what's in the balance, what's hanging in the balance, is larger than you ever will know. And you will end up in failed after failed after failed dating relationship. Failure is not breaking up. And you'll wonder why. And you'll say, why does this happen to me? And you'll get mad at them until you change your perspective. Because right now, we panel our homes. We look for people that we can date and make us feel better, and the house of the Lord lies in ruin. So I think there's one answer to this question that could move us along. And I think it's an unselfish one, because these are all self-centered. But it can't be God's glory, because we've already discovered that. But I'll tell it to you next week. Father, we just pray that as we consider our ways, Lord, for some of us, it's dating. For some of us, it's a million other things. But God, we just naturally we just drift towards not trusting you to satisfy us. And Lord, I'm sorry. I should know better. But I read your word again tonight and preach something I've preached a bunch of times, and I just stand here convicted and feeling that I preach in hypocrisy because I drift to panel my own home, while yours might lie in ruin. Lord, and I know I'm not alone. So, Lord, would you change in us a perspective, specifically of why we choose to date, but it goes beyond that. It goes to every motivation we have and everything and anything we do. And Lord, we just want you, and we just want to come home, and we just want to be with you. Father, would you make the passion of our heart Christ and him crucified, in a relationship with the living God because of the slaying of his Son, that whoever would believe in him, that we would receive eternal life, but we would receive immediate relationship with the God of the universe who loves us so. Father, change us in our seats. Change us up here where we stand to stop paneling our homes and go up, work hard, get the timber, and build your home. Amen.